Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. This is our writing week. This is a chance where we get to take what we've been learning and play with it, get out that pen and get out the paper and actually write something that takes advantage of what we've learned this month. So, Victoria, what kind of an assignment are you going to give us?
All right, so you may recall in the last couple of episodes, we talked about different ways of controlling time within your story. I like to call this narratology or narrative agility. It's using your point of view as the author, the actual person sitting at the desk writing the story, and combining that with the ways that you're revealing the story to your readers. So let's look specifically at last week's example. I gave you a kind of mini assignment. Look at the course of a day. Maybe you start with noon and then you go to 3 p.m. and then you go to 5 p.m. Well, regardless of how you've lined that out in your Zettelkasten and moved your reader through the story in terms of the time of day, let's look at what that might be if you're thinking about how you're going to narrate that movement through time. In one example, you have straight telling. You're just the narrator who oversees from a high level the events of the story, and they're just saying, when Janet looked at her watch, it was 3:30. And then you go on and relate what Janet did after she looked at her watch. You're just straightforward telling the reader what's happening. You're probably summarizing. You're not going into a lot of detail, moving them through quickly. Because what you will find is, especially as you go back in and start doing the editing process, there are things that the reader doesn't care. They don't need to see all of the details of a particular time-bound situation. As the narrator, you can just say, Janet looked at her watch, it was 3:30. Next thing you know, she was out the door for supper. Nobody cares what happened between 3:30 and 5 o'clock. You just want to get to the important point of the story. Alternatively, maybe something important happens in that little time window. In that case, you want to relay those details. So instead of just saying she looked at her watch and next thing you know she was out the door, you're going to draw that section out. You're going to explain to the reader when she looked at her watch at 3:30, she realized suddenly that she'd forgotten to make that important phone call. And as she went to make the important phone call, then something else happened. And that is maybe a crisis or a critical story point. And that then derails her from even getting out the door for that important dinner meeting. See the difference in how you strictly summarize and tell the reader something so that they know you've moved quickly through time and nothing happened, versus drawing out that same period of narrative time so that the reader is experiencing important things that happen. You're slowing the story down in that instance, whereas in the other instance, you're speeding it up because you're just summarizing that time passed. So that's your assignment to play with. Think about the difference between simply stating, this thing happened and time passed, and now we're over here onto the important details, versus from this period of time to this period of time, all of these things happened and the character is reacting to those things. Maybe you've got some monologue going on. Maybe they call someone and have a conversation, or you insert some dialogue about it. You're really giving the reader a lot of information in that second instance. So that's your assignment. Play with how you show the passing of time and the amount of details that you pack into that time, which is going to determine what the reader learns from that period of time. I challenge you because sometimes it can get tricky to figure out, what does this timing look like and what do I want to tell the reader here? But if you play with it and lean into being that narrative voice, you're going to find you have a lot more tools in your toolbox than you think about how to relay those important details and either slow the reader down or speed them up simply by using the passing of time. Kathleen?
Oh, boy, that sounds fantastic. Wow, what an interesting idea. You can skip through the time period very quickly if there's not that much going on, but ooh, I suppose in an extreme case, you could almost develop a great portion of your story if you use that time to build your character's emotional position. Well,
Yeah.
in which case that would tie into where I'm going with patriotism this time, because patriotism is really fascinating when you think about it. When you think about what is it that makes patriotism, the flag waving, watching the parade, all excited to watch the Memorial Day car races and all of these things, versus the character trait of patriotism, where there's something actually different going on in the mind of your character. Because in the patriotism as the character trait, your character is developing groupthink. He's being able to be in the moment of a group of people accomplishing something as a unit. Now, if you remember, there were the three questions that a character has to assess, even if they have patriotism in the base position, before they give up their individual mental focus for participating in groupthink. You've got to spin through some important questions. Is it a good group? Are these good people? Do they have a good plan? Are they going to be doing something good? And are they using good means? Because we're not going to say the end justifies the means here. It's going to have to also be the means have to be tested. So that is individual think in the mind of your character who's deciding, am I going to participate in this group action? Then contrast that when your character is going through that analysis and says, yep, I want to be in it. Can you play with how would you then show your reader that something is different now that he's in the group? And you'll have to choose what group they can be into. They could be in many different things. You could be into an orchestra where your eyes are on the conductor and everyone is playing the same tune under the direction of the conductor. Or maybe it's a team effort, um, cleaning up a park. We mentioned that one as an example. Or maybe it's actually a battle and soldiers are rushing in as a group to accomplish something. You can play with many, many different ideas. See if you can come up with something different too. When do people act as a unit instead of acting as an individual? And what happens in the mind of the person when they're involved in groupthink as opposed to when they are doing individual actions? And you can do it in two different ways. You can either show your character doing this assessment ahead of time and then have them shift into group behavior, or you could set it up that in the past sometime the character did that assessment and has assumed this group is good, but now while he's busily in groupthink, something pops into his mind. He sees something that's out of place and causes him to wonder and makes him reassess those three questions so that you can see him moving out of groupthink into analysis and then maybe back in, or maybe then having to say, whoa, pull the brakes. I don't want to be into this. So, but I want you to play in writing with showing the difference of thinking as an individual versus thinking as a member of a group. Anything to add, Victoria?
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great opportunity to look at the unit versus the individual. That's just another way that you can play with that on screen and off screen time. Maybe you want the reader to move quickly through the part where the person is thinking about their individual loyalties. Maybe that's not the important part, so you gloss over that in time. But then you spend a big amount of time on the page describing the unit acting together, just like we've said in these examples. It gives you a great opportunity to show the reader the development of that cohesive unit. That could be very powerful in a story. So once again, we've done it. Somehow we've managed to dovetail these two crazy, completely unrelated things and find a way to combine them in your writing to make it better. And most importantly, to push you as the author, because your one and only job is to tell your story in the very best way that you can. And the most valuable tool, in my opinion, is to write and rewrite until you find the best way to get that story on the page so that you're connecting with your reader. So Kathleen, if people wanted to find us and participate and hang out, where might they go?
You'd come on over to LiLLiPub. LiLLiPub.org is where we hang out We're not in YouTube land. And guess what? You can do your writing assignment and you can post it and come to Fusion Writing where we meet as a group on Saturdays. You can talk to us face to face on Zoom, share your writing and share the writing of the other members of Fusion Writing, and actually share the assignment that you did. Incredibly, it's still only $8 a month. And if you sign it up at the $8 a month level, that's your price locked in forever. So don't miss out on the opportunity to get this great value. See you over there. Bye bye.